season. As we discuss Keegan Murray and Keon Ellis, two guys that after hearing what Sean had to say yesterday, I definitely wanted to go back and listen to what Scott Perry initially told him because he was really confident that both of these guys are going to be on the Kings, not just these next couple seasons, but through 2027. So here's Scott Perry on Keegan Murray and Keon Ellis.
Both of those young players have shown what they can do in this league. You know, Keegan Murray, at his size, his ability to shoot the ball from the perimeter, his ability to match up really 1 through 4, maybe even 5 on some nights defensively, makes him a very important player and unique player in that manner. I've spent a little time with him before he's gone back to Chicago because he was around here in Sacramento when I first took over. Enjoyed that time. Had met him, though, when I was in New York as GM. We interviewed him during the pre-draft process at the Chicago Combine, so I was a little bit familiar with him. His dad is from Michigan. It was Mr. Basketball back there years ago when I was a college coach, so felt like I knew him a little bit. But really looking forward to working with him. Another high-character person. As you know, look, we had Keon represent us at the draft lottery. That was our choice to do that and have him. So that to let you know in terms of what we think about him, how we feel about him. I think he has a great upside, tremendous story going from a guy who wasn't drafted to becoming an integral part of a good basketball team. So just looking forward to getting to know him more and spending more time with him. But just seeing them all come together. So like both of those guys, and hopefully they can be around with the Kings for the foreseeable future for a good while.
That was Scott Perry on the two young bucks, Keegan Murray and Keon Ellis. Look, he said it. We had Keon there for a reason. What would be the batting average for players that have represented their, you know where I'm going with this, players that have represented their team during the draft to not play on that team the upcoming season? It's got to be very, very small.
Well, they don't always send players either.
But when they do.
Okay.
Right? We sent them, and then a month later, we actually traded him. I'm sure it's happened.
I'm going to have to go back and look at some draft lotteries. The one I can think of that might have happened was, I know what it was. Remember when Zion, number 1 pick for the Pelicans, they sent Anthony Davis to the lottery?
That's right.
And Anthony Davis had to sit there while they announced Zion was the number 1 pick. It had to be Anthony Davis, right? Was it Anthony Davis or Griffin? I'm almost certain it was Anthony Davis they sent.
So I feel and again, the issue really isn't Keon Ellis this upcoming season. Nobody thought he was going to get, or thinks he's going to get traded this upcoming season. It's really, will he hit free agency or not? Right? Will they be able to get something in place before Keon hits free agency? And with that being said, now that might be a little bit different when it comes to guys that were sitting and represented their team for the draft. But it sounds like they want to keep Keon, and they're happy with Keon. When it comes to Keegan Murray, who we spent a little bit more time with, man, yeah, look, being able to guard essentially every position, some nights guard the 5, it's incredibly important. It's exactly what they continue to preach they want on the team. So you don't need somebody to say a player is untouchable, but when you have a 25-year-old that fits what you're trying to do and it is someone that can score the basketball and shoot the basketball and defend the basketball at a high level, it goes without saying, I'm sure Keegan is not first on their list to move, which is no surprise anywhere, right? And them building with him, you got to think an extension is going to be discussed once Summer League kind of cools off and they get back. I guess a little bit surprised. And I don't know when Keegan is getting married. I know he's engaged, or he got engaged towards the end of the season, but it might not be for a while.
We're gonna have to find out when the season starts.
That's
I
right.
promise. There's no way we're gonna see it on social media or anything.
No, there's no way. And yeah, unless it's a quick wedding. I mean, normally you would have a decent amount of time. So I guess I'm a little surprised that the Keegan, we haven't heard more about the Keegan thing, especially at Summer League. Keegan wasn't in Vegas or hasn't been in Vegas. So I think that's maybe a smidge surprising, but doesn't feel like, and Sean said it yesterday, he doesn't believe the Kings have a fear of paying Keegan or an appetite to trade him. So I guess it's more of a patience thing to kind of lock him down. And I think there's some Kings fans out there that, not that they don't want to lock Keegan down, but they're still a little bit scarred from what they saw from Summer League straight to Keegan's freshman first year in the league, rookie season, and expecting more out of him. When Scott Perry talks and kind of breaks it down, he might not be, the guy that was going back and forth with Paolo Banchero, he might not be that for the duration of his career, but he's still an extremely valuable player that a ton of people and a ton of other organizations would definitely like to have in their organization. I mean, again, Trey Murphy is the comp that I always bring up. I think Trey Murphy and Jabari Smith Jr., if either of these guys were on the trade market, the teams would be getting really good value for them. Keegan Murray is right there. He's right there. He might not be viewed the same talent-wise, and I know he's a bit older than Jabari Smith Jr., but he's right in that same conversation where there would be plenty of teams very excited to bring him in to the fold and see what he can do. And he would be starting. I don't think Keegan is on anybody's bench. I don't know that he's on anybody's all-star team, and that remains to be seen. But, I think maybe it's time that the Kings fans that are a bit upset with Keegan start to realize the value that he brings, even if he doesn't end up being a star. There are not a lot of stars, right? And I guess somebody out there is saying, well, that's the tanking thing, right? That was a 4th pick in the draft. The Benedict Mathurin was 6th pick. I don't see, not that he really has had the same opportunity, but not sure where the star potential kind of starts and stops there. So you never know what you're going to get, which is the argument to not tank. I get it. And tanking is more about accumulating a number of picks, right? That's what we spent a lot of time on yesterday. So feels like the Kings are very motivated to keep Keegan in the fold, to keep Keon in the fold, and one of them will probably be resolved before the other. I mean, I can almost guarantee with Keegan getting that extension, and then all eyes will be on, hey, Keon, is there any way we can get you before you hit free agency? So that is kind of the breakdown there. And with that being said, and here's a little hint, you'll never guess who Devin Carter is replicating this season in Summer League. Alan Stiles, Sactown Sports.
Time to check out Capital Casino, conveniently located